nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
And welcome. Tonight, lawmakers in Ekiti State Assembly impeach Speaker Wike cite blockage of the passage of the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Bill and abuse of process in his election. Mr. Aribishogon describes action as illegal. Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Otti lays out his plan on electricity supply and poverty alleviation, among others, as he meets with the Guild of Editors in Lagos. And PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar takes his campaign to Gombe State, says it will prioritize infrastructure development and empowerment of businessmen and women in the state.
On business news tonight, Nigeria drops from 5th to 7th place on OPEC's crude oil production list, and that's according to its monthly report for the month of November.
On sports news tonight, Argentina captain Lionel Messi dismissed rumors about his fitness. The 8-time Ballon d'Or winner is ready to play at the FIFA World Cup in Qatar.
And in international news from London, at least 56 people have died after an earthquake struck the main Indonesian island of Java.
We begin with politics tonight. The agenda of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Otti, who's been outlining his plan to change the nation's power supply narrative if elected next year. He's promising to adopt the Bangladesh mode of 35% affirmative action for women.
You'll be shocked that the others are sitting behind, sir.
Without wasting time, the former governor of Anambra State goes straight into the business of the day, describing Nigeria as a nation going through a difficult time based on the recent multidimensional poverty index released by the National Bureau of Statistics. According to him, one of the ways the nation can get out of this quagmire is for every state to move from consumption to production through the instrumentality of agriculture.
Nobody's happy when you don't know where the next meal will come from. You can't have that number of people living in poverty and you won't have the level of criminality, banditry and everything that we have. You can give any excuse, but that is the foundation. And you need to deal with that. And the reason why it's like that is because you're not a productive country. The only thing we do here is about sharing. You must remove it and remove that sharing formula with production formula.
On the issue of borrowing, the Labour Party flag bearer says there is nothing wrong with that. What he wants is for the money borrowed to be invested properly.
If you borrow for consumption, that's where you have a problem. The reason why Nigerian debt looks very high and it looks difficult even to service it is that the money we borrowed has been thrown away. If that money was invested, it would have been a different thing.
He also speaks on how he hopes to transform the nation's power sector if elected president come 2023.
Today, we have up to over 12,000 installed capacity. But we don't have the transmission facility to move that. You don't have the distribution capacity to deal with it. You start with that.
Mr. Obi says leadership is key, believing that the moment Nigerians elect one that will hit the ground running from day one in office, things will definitely begin to fall into place.
Meanwhile, the campaign train of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, today moved to Gombe State. The event, which held at the Pantami Stadium, witnessed a large turnout of supporters, including governors, lawmakers and party leadership. Mr. Abubakar told the party supporters that if elected president in 2023, his administration will promote infrastructure development in the state, and he also announced plans to empower businessmen and women. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, arrives to Gombe Lawanti International Airport at exactly 1:20 in the afternoon and is received by members of his campaign council and top PDP members, as well as supporters in Gombe State. From the airport, Mr. Abubakar moves to the Pantami Stadium, where he is welcomed with cheers from a large crowd of supporters. It's an exciting moment for members of the Presidential Campaign Council who mount the podium to give their remarks.
We just want to let people know that PDP is coming back to make sure our economy bounces back, to make sure our naira regain the strength, to make sure you have more milk in your tea.
When and not if he becomes the president of Nigeria, we shall reestablish peace and security in Gombe State and in Nigeria at large.
For the leadership of the party, winning Gombe State in 2023 is already a done deal.
Gombe State is PDP. Gombe State is the home of Atiku Abubakar. I don't need to come here and campaign in Gombe State. I want to thank you for voting in advance. You are going to win Gombe.
And when the party's presidential candidate mounts the podium, he unveils his plan for the people.
We promise to empower your businessmen to expand their businesses so that they can create more jobs for our young men and women. We will make sure all the roads linking Gombe with Adamawa, with Borno, with Bauchi, with Yobe, all these roads are constructed for the purposes of enhancing trade and commerce.
Mr. Abubakar leaves Gombe State confident that the people will give him the support he needs to win the 2023 presidential election. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
In yet another political development, Governor Wike of Rivers State has pledged to provide logistics support for the campaign of the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwakwanso, in Rivers. Governor Wike says his gestures, just like he did for Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, and it's premised on the integrity of the former governor of Kano State. He made the promise while commissioning internal roads in Emoha local government area, where he expressed doubts about the chances of victory for the PDP in key states like Rivers, Kano and in Lagos.
It's the commissioning of yet another road project under the Urban Renewal and Rural Generation agenda of the Nyesom Wike-led administration in Rivers State. And this one in Ngutawa community in Emoha local government area is to be commissioned by the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Mr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. Governor Wike says his projects are always executed within a timeline laced with standard quality.
Your Excellency, our special guest of honor, I want anybody to challenge our administration and let it be known that this administration, we have never done any project above 14 months. If you calculate all we have been commissioning, put them together from June last year till now, we are commissioning over 20 projects. Put all the money together for those 20 projects. Within 1 year, the projects are completed.
And with electioneering in top gear, he promises to provide logistics support for the campaign of the NNPP presidential candidate, just as he did for the Labour Party candidate.
I said it to Peter Obi when he came. And I want to also tell you that if you are coming for campaign here, I will give you the logistic support for you to campaign. These are people who mean well for this country. You are not preaching based on ethnicity. You are not preaching based on religion. You are selling yourself to Nigerians. Vote for what I can do.
Before inaugurating the road, Mr. Kwankwaso appreciates Governor Wike's doggedness while projecting that his former party, the PDP, may have a difficult time in some key states during the elections.
I can tell you, as Governor Wike has been saying, any party that cannot control two of the three states, Kano, Lagos, and Rivers, he has been saying it, and people were not taking note of it. And by now, with Kwankwaso out of that party, Wike is still struggling to be there or not to be there. Somehow things are moving. Certainly Lagos is not their own. One begins to wonder where they will get their votes to win the election of 2023.
He then inaugurates the road.
To declare this road open. Yes, Wike. CONGSSRS.
With this road now commissioned, accelerated economic activities is expected to thrive in the predominantly agrarian community.
Staying with politics, the Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has been speaking about the chances of the presidential candidates of the APC, Bola Tinubu, after the party's 1 million march in Kano yesterday. The governor says it does not mind reaching out to the NNPP presidential candidates, Rabiu Kwakwanso, if his assistance becomes necessary for Bola Tinubu to win in the case of a runoff. Governor Ganduje was guest on our program, Politics Today. He dismissed speculations about the political motivation behind the creation of the new emirates in the state.
We provided health services in mega hospitals. We don't need to go to to Metropolitan Kano unless if the case is very serious. We even introduced new services in those hospitals like eye clinic, dental clinic, ear clinic, and modern laboratories. You can see that the people are happy. And most importantly also is the issue of security. The traditional rulers are assisting us with the security situation. We introduce, community policing, of which the emas, the chairman, and then their district head, their village heads, their ward heads, their imams, and stakeholders are all participating in this community policing. So you can see that after we created the Emirates, then we have decentralized some of the activities, especially issues that are pertaining to development and security. So I assure you are taking advantage of that as well.
Now, there are those who think that the election might not be concluded at first ballot. That means there is a possibility of a runoff. I mean, you've worked with our former governor, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, before now. Should it, push come to shove, would you be willing to approach him for political assistance if your party will need one?
In which level of election?
At the presidential election.
Well, there's no doubt about that. If we fall into that kind of situation, we will have no option but to approach all those who can assist us. And having worked with him before, I have no problem to approach him for assistance at that particular level. So every good politician has to look that way. So we cannot close our doors. But I believe Bola Aswaju will win this election as the first ballot.
In part two, after the break, court orders arrest of Abia factional leader Edozie Njoko over forgery of Supreme Court judgments. And that's in a moment. Please join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us to watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos, here's a reminder of our top stories. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi lays out his plan on electricity supply and poverty alleviation, among others, as he meets with the Guild of Editors in Lagos. PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar takes his campaign to Gombe State, says he will prioritize infrastructure development and empowerment of businessmen and women in the state. Lawmakers in Ekiti State House of Assembly impeach Speaker Wike Aribishogun, cite blockage of the passage of the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Bill and abusive process in his election. Mr. Aribishogun describes action as illegal. And death toll in the Indonesia earthquake rises to over 160. Now to Ekiti State, where the drama that unfolded some days ago came to a climax today with the impeachment and indefinite suspension of the recently elected Speaker of the House of Assembly, Wike Aribishogun. 17 out of the 26 members of the House reportedly sat amid tight security to remove Mr. Aribishogun, citing blockage in the passage of the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Bill. Mr. Aribishogun was almost promptly replaced by the Assembly Chief Whip, Olubunmi Adelugba, who had contested the position with the impeached last week.
Events in the past 4 days has suggested a possible breaking news at the Ekiti State House of Assembly. On Thursday, November the 17th, 2022, a combined team of security operatives had taken over the premises of the House just 2 days after the election that produced Mr. Wike Aribishogun as House Speaker. The police cited intelligence reports on possible security breach. Earlier Monday morning, news filtered out that Mr. Aribishogun, sworn in 6 days ago, had been impeached by 17 out of the 26 lawmakers in the Assembly. 6 other lawmakers were also suspended for allegedly compromising the process of the election that produced Aribishogun as Speaker, among other allegations. Minutes after the exercise, 16 of the 17 lawmakers headed to the Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress in the state to explain their actions.
Not about me. It's not about fire.
The new speaker claims the earlier election was compromised and in contrast to the party's directive.
That election that you are talking about was actually compromised. Because if you look at the people that are in the House today, also what that sat today, you will see, even when we start asking questions, more than 14, 15, 16 were saying that they did not vote that way. Apparently, maybe there has been some compromise on that, but that compromise has been wiped by the decision of today. There are 70 people voted unanimously for me.
The leadership of the party describes the emergence of the new speaker as consistent with its zoning arrangement.
As soon as the speaker died, we knew there could be problem. So for the aversion of possible problems, the party needed to invite House of Assembly members who spoke to them. First and foremost, we said they should allow the position to remain in South Senatorial District, where the former speaker came from.
But the impeached speaker will not accept the new development, describing it as a nullity. Mr. Aribishogun claims due process was jettisoned in electing the new speaker, and as such, it will not stand. The drama unfolding in the Ekiti State House of Assembly follows the death of a former speaker, Fumini Afuye, on October the 19th, 2022. Afuye's deputy, Akim Jamiu, had acted till last week Tuesday, when the House held an election producing Mr. Aribishogun as Speaker, after reportedly polling 15 votes as against 10 garnered by Olubunmi Adelugba. Mrs. Adelugba is the first female to ever emerge Speaker in the state's legislature.
Meanwhile, the principal officers of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, led by the embattled Speaker, Mr. Wike Aribishogun, have condemned what they termed the invasion of the Assembly chambers by 7 members in the early hours of today. and his purported impeachment, describing the action as illegal. In a statement, Mr. Aribishogun said the invasion was an unlawful gathering and not a plenary sitting in accordance with Order 5, Rule 18, subsection 1 of the House Rules, citing a similar incident on November 16th. Part of the statement reads, in view of the fact that the presence of the members of the chamber was in contradiction to the House rules, the purported impeachment of Mr. Speaker and suspension of 7 members is illegal, ultra-vires, null and void, and of no effect. The actions are not legally sustainable and will definitely be quashed by a court of competent jurisdiction. The statement adds that the members present at the unlawful assembly did not meet the statutory number of 17 to impeach a speaker. They called on the people and government of Ekiti State to note that Honorable Aribishogun remains a speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, confident that justice and the rule of law will prevail. The governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Abia State, Mr. Alex Otti, says the first thing his administration will do, if elected governor of Abia State in 2023, is to create jobs and wealth for the people. Mr. Otti disclosed this at a palace of the traditional ruler of an autonomous community in Umuahia North local government area, His Royal Highness John Ibezim. According to Mr. Otti, his administration will revive the kaolin mining industry.
My government will be a government encouraging business, because we know that the job of government is not to do business, but to provide the enabling environment for businesses to thrive, create jobs and create wealth. That's my own forte. That's my trade secret. I've always created wealth. And the reason I showed up in the political firmament of Abia State is to create wealth for our people. And I will do that. One thing I want to leave with you is that by the time we are done with Abia State, this place will not only look like a capital, it will be a metropolitan city.
Justice Mohammed Madugu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has issued a bench warrant for the arrest of a factional leader of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Mr. Edozie Njoku. Mr. Njoku and one Chukwuemeka Nwonga are being charged with alleged forgery of a Supreme Court judgment as well as the letterhead of retired Justice Mary Odili. The police had filed a 14-count criminal charge against them.
The fractional chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Mr. Edozie Njoku, and a co-defendant were absent at the Federal Capital Territory High Court, where they are facing a 14-count charge bordering on alleged forgery of a Supreme Court judgment. The prosecutor informs the court that the defendants had been served and are aware of the arraignment. He urges the court to issue a bench warrant for Mr. Njoku's arrest alongside one Chukwuemeka Nwonga. However, counsel to the defendants countered the request, stating that Mr. Njoku is presently out of the nation's capital. The trial judge, Justice Mohammed Magudu, is not satisfied with the explanation of the counsel to the defendants and subsequently issued the bench warrant.
We are happy that he will be brought to court, or he will be the same way he was invited to court and he refused to come, that he must come and face the courts to answer for the charges against him, because the things that he has been charged with are very weighty. So he has to come and defend himself.
Someone was served on Friday, the 18th day of November, and to appear in court on Monday, which was not practicable. So on the next adjourned date, our client is not, the defendant is not running away from appearing before the court because he knows he's innocent.
The matter has been adjourned to November 28, when the police is expected to present Mr. Njoku and his co-defendant in court to answer to allegations of forgery leveled against them by the All Progressives Grand Alliance.
To the Ogun PDP governorship primary aftermath, the Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal brought before it by the PDP on the nomination of its governorship candidates in Ogun State. The Apex Court ordered that the suit instituted by one of the governorship aspirants, Mr. Jimmy Lawal, be remitted to the Federal High Court for a fresh trial by another judge, other than Justice Taiwo, who refused to entertain the suit. Delivering judgment, Justice Ibrahim Salawa held that the Federal High Court was wrong in declining jurisdiction in the matter. The Supreme Court agreed with the Court of Appeal in Abuja that the Federal High Court had jurisdiction under Section 285 of the 1999 Constitution and Section 84(14) of the Electoral Act 2022 to hear the case on its merit. Mr. Lawal, who contested the May 25, 2022 governorship primary, had challenged the emergence of Mr. Ladi Adebutu, alleging that an unlawful delegates list was used by the party to conduct the election. But Justice Taiwo declined to hear the suit on the grounds that the primary election was a domestic affair of the political party, prompting Mr. Lawal to approach the appeal court. Not satisfied, Adebutu went to the Supreme Court, which dismissed his appeal today. Still ahead on the news at 10, Naira drops from 5th to 7th place on OPEC's crude production list, according to its monthly world market report for November. We'll have details in Business News. Stay with us. Welcome back to some company news now. Globacom has presented a brand new Kia Picanto car, generating sets, sewing machines, rechargeable fans, among other items to winners in the ongoing Festival of Joy promo. Speaking at the presentation ceremony, which held at the Globacom main office in Benin City, the Edo State capital, Regional Manager of Globacom Midwest, Mr. Ofo Ndu Augustus, said the Festival of Joy promo is to reward customers for their loyalty to the brand.
Unlimited Joy for 29-year-old Enakmomo Harrison is the latest winner of a Kia Picanto, courtesy of Nigeria's telecommunications giants, Globacom.
All the happiness I don't appear for us. I'm already exhausted. As in the excitement cannot be quantified, like seriously. I'm flaggerbacks, non-blocks, bamboos. As in just they give me any cram when go express my joy. I'm really happy. I'm excited.
This is the fourth presentation ceremony of the Festival of Joy promo. One of the many ways of saying thank you to subscribers for continued patronage.
Globacom is a purely Nigerian company with passion for the continuous empowerment of Nigerians. We have continuously shown that positively impacting the lives of our timid subscribers is a passion we are committed to. This is why the Globe Festival of Joy promo was launched to give subscribers the opportunity to win thousands of prizes worth several millions of naira in celebration of their loyalty to the brand. To participate in this promo, voice and data customers just have to dial the dedicated short code *611# and keep recharging voice and data. In order to be eligible to win the prizes on offer, the more recharges, the higher the chances of winning.
Some of the other winners received their prizes. Glow's brand ambassador Gordons insists there is still many more to come.
This Festival of Joy promo is what we do yearly to thank our subscribers for being faithful and loyal to the brand. We did it last year, we gave out cars. And this year we are giving both cars and houses, generators, sewing machines and fans. And next year we can take it to the next level. That's how we'll be doing it. This is totally unbelievable because even the data and the voice that you use was for your own benefit. But Globacom is still thanking you for it.
From here, the train will move to other regions of the country as more lucky subscribers emerge.
That takes us to business news. Here's Anne Mawadu.
Banking so easy. easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Amarachi. Hello and welcome to Business News. Nigeria now ranks 7th, down from 5th place on the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries crude oil production list, and that's according to its monthly oil report for the month of November. The latest findings by OPEC show that Nigeria's output for the month of October was just 1.014 million barrels per day, pushing it behind Algeria at 1.060 million barrels per day and Angola at 1.051 million barrels per day. Energy experts have attributed the drop in the country's position among its OPEC peers in crude oil production to theft and pipeline vandalism. 3 firms have each been pre-qualified and issued the request for proposal for the concession of the Calabar and Kano Free Trade Zones in Nigeria. The Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprise is Mr. Alex Oko, who made this known at the pre-bid conference in Abuja, says the companies, which include Boa International Limited, Diamond Stripes Consortium, and Northwest Petroleum and Gas Company Limited. He explains that the move is a continuation of the federal government's ongoing efforts to diversify the country's economy and fast-track its industrialization. He also adds that the bidders are expected to submit their proposals on or before December the 2nd. Nigeria's Debt Management Office has opened its subscription for 100 billion naira 10-year sukuk instrument at 1,000 naira per unit with a rental rate of 15.64% per annum. According to the DMO, proceeds from this bond offer are expected to be used solely for the construction and the rehabilitation of key road projects across the 6 geopolitical zones. The offer for the sukuk instrument, which is listed on the Nigerian Exchange at FMDQ Securities Exchange Limited, opens today and closes on November the 29th, with a settlement date on December the 2nd. We head to the market now. Investors gained 93 billion naira. The local bourse opened with positive sentiment buoyed by consumer goods sector components. Let's hear the details from Jeffrey Uzongo.
Hello and welcome to Stock Market Report. The NGX kicks off the 4th trading week of November with positive sentiment as investors extended their bargain hunting interest for some high-value equities. And of course, the bull holds sway. As you can see, the all-share index right here appreciating 0.47% and the market capitalization of 24.347 trillion naira. If we take a look at the activity chart, all in the green, 159 million units sold and of course valued at 1.95 billion naira. And let's see who were the gainers at the end of trade today. Nigerian Breweries 9.94% and PZ right here appreciating 8.72%. On the flip side, we have Japan 7.14%. Right there on the losers counter. And of course, let's hope that the market continues to gain from what it had gained today for the rest of the week. That's the Stock Market Report. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. It's back to you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Now let's take a look at closing performance of major global markets for Monday. Thanks for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Amarachi.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Coming up next, a death toll in the Indonesia earthquake rises to over 160. Stay with us. Welcome back. At least 162 people have died in an earthquake on the Indonesian island of Java. Hundreds more have been injured. The 5.6 magnitude quake struck Cianjur town in West Java at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers. The area is densely populated and prone to landslides. Many houses have been reduced to rubble in many areas. Simon Pusey has more on what happened earlier today and other stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 56 people have died after an earthquake struck the main Indonesian island of Java. The 5.6 magnitude quake struck Cianjur town in West Java at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers. Rescuers have been trying to evacuate people from collapsed buildings. It has left hundreds injured, with makeshift hospitals appearing on roadsides. Officials have warned of possible aftershocks and said the death toll could rise. President Volodymyr Zelensky has marked Ukraine's annual Day of Dignity and Freedom by celebrating the sacrifices made by his people since Russia's invasion and saying they will prevail. In a video address to the nation, Zelensky hailed the contributions made by people of all kinds, from soldiers, firefighters and medics to teachers and farmers. The Day of Dignity and Freedom marks the pro-European Union protests of 2013-2014 that became known as the Maidan Revolution. China has reported its first COVID deaths in 6 months, with officials warning the capital is facing its most severe situation since the pandemic start. 3 fatalities have been reported in Beijing since Saturday, bringing the country's official death toll to 5,229. It comes as China's zero-COVID policy sparks rare protests. The controversial strategy has seen millions locked down and positive citizens forcibly quarantined. In Beijing, officials have already implemented a lockdown in the Haidan part of the capital, with shops, schools and restaurants closed, and 3 million people urged to stay at home. Elon Musk says he will not allow the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones to return to Twitter, referring to the radio host's frequent referrals to the Sandy Hook killings as being faked. He wrote that his own child had died and that he had no mercy for anyone who would use the deaths of children for gain, politics or fame. It comes days after the accounts of the former US President Donald Trump, as well as Kanye West and the influencer Andrew Tate, were all reactivated. Israel's Prime Minister-designate Benjamin Netanyahu has won a defamation suit against a predecessor who claimed he and his family were mentally ill. A judge ordered Ehud Olmert to pay Mr. Netanyahu and his wife Sarah and their son Yair $18,000 in damages. Mr. Olmert argued that he had been expressing an opinion in good faith in 2 Israeli TV interviews last year. But the judge rejected that defence and said he also had failed to prove the claim with a proper medical assessment. Kenya's President William Ruto has arrived in the Democratic Republic of Congo for talks.
And that is why we are committed under the East Africa community.
In his first state visit to the DRC, Mr. Ruto said that Kenyan troops would be deployed to the country's far east on an ongoing basis. Speaking alongside his counterpart in Kinshasa, Mr. Ruto said that helping stabilize DRC and end conflict there was his top priority.
I have come to confirm to my brother and to the people of DRC that Kenya will play its role. We are rolling out the deployment of our troops in the areas that have been agreed between the government of DRC and the East Africa region to do whatever it takes to support His Excellency the President, to support the government of DRC and the people of DRC so that we can have peace.
And a mural painted by the graffiti artist Banksy on a bombed-out building in the Ukrainian town of Herenka has become a source of comfort for local residents. The mural, showing a man scrubbing his back in a bath, is on the ground floor of what remains of an apartment block that was hit during a Russian attack in March. Russian missile strikes have caused frequent blackouts and often knocked out water supplies in Ukraine. The mural in this heavily damaged town in the Kiev region is one of 7 that Banksy has confirmed to have painted in Ukraine. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Emmanuel Ojabulu has won the 61st edition of the First Bank Amateur Golf Championship played at the Ikoyi Club 1938 in Lagos. Ojabulu started the day 3 shots off the pace but recovered to win by 2 shots. While outstanding competitors were rewarded with both cash and other gifts as First Bank reiterated its commitment to the longest running golf competition in the country.
The 61st edition of the First Bank Amateur Golf Championship comes down to 3 players with a realistic chance of winning the prestigious event on the final day at the Ikoyi Club 1938. After 18 competitive holes, Emmanuel Ojabulu outlasts his rivals to close with a 74 3 over par to win by 2 shots. His closest challenge came from overnight leader George Paul, who closes with a 79 with Muhyiddin Olaitan settling for 3rd. After the intense competition, it's now time to crown the champion.
This evening is one of my happiest days on earth, you know. I'm very, very, very really happy because I really work hard for it. I hit nothing less than 500 balls daily to meet up to this standard because it was my dream to be a winner of this tournament.
Mr. Olusegun Alebioshu, representing the Chief Executive Officer of First Bank, says the bank will continue to support the championship, while captain of the golf section of the Ikoyi Club, Tony Obo, thanks the sponsors for keeping the tournament going.
So fulfilled, so happy that First Bank is able to do this and is able to bring smiles to the faces of people, the winners. I was happy to see people from Nairobi, from South Africa, from across West Africa coming to play, which means that First Bank has elevated golf across Africa, and I'm so happy about it.
Wonderful. We have 3 full days of active golf from golfers from 0 to 12 all over the country. It's our pleasure to host them.
Over the years, First Bank has demonstrated its commitment to the development of golf in Nigeria. And from all indications, that is not about to change. In football, the 3 Lions of England began their World Cup campaign with a flawless 6-2 victory over Iran in an incident-packed match in Doha. While African champion Senegal lost to 3-time World Cup finalist Netherlands by 2-0 in a keenly contested encounter in Group B. And in the last game of the day, Gareth Bale goal from the penalty spot and the dying moments cancelled out a Timothy Weah's goal in the 35th minute as the United States and Wales played a 1-1 draw. Well, Argentina skipper Lionel Messi has played down concerns about his fitness, insisting that he is ready to play at the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. With there have been speculations Messi has been missing some parts of training sessions due to an ankle injury as the Albiceleste prepare to face Saudi Arabia tomorrow. Messi, a 7-time Ballon d'Or winner, will be taking part in his 5th World Cup in Qatar, and at age 35, it could be his last chance to win the trophy. Dutch football fans celebrated the 2-0 win of their team against Senegal during Netherlands' first match at the ongoing World Cup. But the Dutch fans draped in flags chanted and cheered outside Doha's Al Tumama Stadium after the Netherlands scored twice in the final minutes, beating Senegal by 2-0. Meanwhile, disappointed Senegal supporters said that their team was missing injured Sadio Mane and hoped their team would hold on for their next match against Qatar on Friday. A Danish manager, Kasper Hillman, has played down the favourites tag in Group D as the Danes prepare to face Africa's representatives, Tunisia, in Tuesday's opener. Denmark qualified for the World Cup by winning 9 of 10 games and conceding only 3 goals. And that's Sports News. I'm Ayotunde Balogun.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And the main news again. Governor Wike today pledged to provide logistics support for the campaign of the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwakwanso, in Rivers State. Meanwhile, Mr. Kwakwanso expressed doubts about the chances of victory for the PDP in key states like Rivers, Kano, and Lagos, saying any party that fails to win these states will not clinch the presidency. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Uvani. Good night.